The Northern Serengeti Great Migration Safari was a once-in-a-lifetime action-packed adventure. And today I'm going to be sharing some of the updates with you from my recent tour that I hosted for Wildlife. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some of these highlights. Hi there everyone, my name is Michael Appalsamy and I'm one of the guides here from Wildlife. And as I mentioned, today I am going to share some highlights with you from a tour that I recently hosted, which was simply unbelievable. And this was, like I mentioned, the Northern Serengeti Great Migration Safari. Now, this safari took us to the northern part of the Serengeti, a huge ecosystem found in Tanzania, where we spent 6 nights and 7 days in this absolutely incredible destination. We ended up staying at a camp called Kaz Mara Camp. Quite ironic that it's called Mara Camp, but nevertheless, stayed at Kaz Mara Camp, which was a wonderful camp situated out in a beautiful plains area. And a quick story about what you can kind of expect from this type of lodge and this tented camp. I mean, you feel incredibly immersed within nature when you are out in these, staying at this specific camp. To the point that myself and my guest, Mike, who was on this tour, we had some very, very interesting nights where 2 nights in particular, we had a massive herd of wildebeest and zebra that had come through the camp. And it was just happening. You have the sounds of the wildlife all around your tent. What ended up happening is we had lions that had taken down animals during the night. You could hear the commotions of all of that. There were hyenas that had hunted as well. So all of this in and around camp, it was absolutely incredible. So that, to start off, really just makes this tour comfortable, if I can say it that way. So I had a wonderful time while we were doing that. Now, what I really want to jump into and share with you guys is some of the highlights that we had from the trip. And the way I'm going to do this is a little bit different to our usual trip reports. And what I'm going to focus on today, I'm going to share some footage with you about 3 main things that you can expect, look for rather, while you are out in this northern part of the Serengeti. And obviously, number 1 being the Great Migration. I mean, we were so fortunate with the things that we managed to see when it came to the migration this year. And I'm going to share some of those highlights with you. So number 1, the Great Migration. Number 2, predators. My goodness, we were spoiled with predator opportunities and photographic opportunities while we were out there. And the third thing is the rocks. Now, when I refer to rocks, I mean the Serengeti, especially this northern Serengeti part, has these beautiful patches of huge, humongous boulders, big rocks. And when you get lucky, the chances of getting cats up on those rocks, other wildlife up on those rocks, can make for some very unique and artistic photographs at times. And once again, we got very fortunate with what we said. So like I say, that's what we're going to jump into. And so first up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some footage. I'm going to share some of my images, some of my guest images, as well as a video here and there to spark your guys' interest and let you know what we saw. So let's jump straight into it. Now, jumping straight into this photograph, as you can see here, beautiful young male lion. And this was beautiful. We had countless numbers of lion sightings while we were out there. Really, really interesting. The numbers of lions out there is just incredible. So what's wonderful about that, when you spend a lot of time with an animal, specific animals, especially cats, whatever it may be, you get a lot of time to go for different type of images. So it's not just the pulled back image of a lion, but instead we can zoom in, we can try new things. Here's a great example of that. So one morning had these lions feeding out on a carcass. Quite interesting. This young male was with another older female, and they were busy feeding on a wildebeest carcass. And what ended up happening is we actually then heard some lionesses busy roaring off in the distance. So went over to check them. That led us to another group of about 6 or 7 lions. So yeah, really, really cool morning this was. This is one of those lionesses now who was busy roaring. She was off in the distance and led us. Well, they were also feeding on another carcass. That's what happens when you have so many wildebeest zebra in the area. The lions and the other predators start killing for fun. So yeah, that was very cool and a very beautiful scene. This very typical Serengeti scene. This lioness was beautiful. She actually had I don't know if I can zoom in here. Quality's not great like this while it loads, but you can see she actually was blind in one eye. So when she started to get a little bit closer to us, she made for some beautiful up close and personal portrait images. So this was a great morning. Now this beautiful leopard, as you can see here, shot by my guest Mike Swisselmich. Beautiful, beautiful image of this leopard. We were very fortunate the one morning. It was actually just after we had the morning with all of those lions. Driving off, we carried on to go see what we could see, and our guide ended up spotting this leopard out of nowhere. Incredible spot. And yes, managed to get this leopard. We spent about an hour with him, and he really, really posed for us very nicely for a few moments. I managed to capture some beautiful images of him. Jumping over here, just something a little bit different. Like I said to you, once you manage to bank those images that you go for, to be able to try different things, slightly more artistic, those types of images, this is what you can go for. So yeah, one morning we found 2 nomadic males, young males, also busy moving off, quite aware of everything happening around them. So you could see they were possibly a little bit nervous of the territory that they might have been moving into. But nevertheless, we had a great morning with them, managed to capture some beautiful images with the time that we spent with them. Now, over and above the lions, the leopard that we had, we managed to one morning get this beautiful cheetah who was on a mission, on a real mission, this male. And how did it start? So we actually got the call about the cheetah, managed to get there as quickly as possible. And as you can see, he was very, very empty-stomached or on a very, very big mission. In and amongst these herds of wildebeest, you can see, just take a moment actually to appreciate how incredible the Serengeti landscape is. I mean, that's what's mind-blowing when you're out here. You know, you look at these types of things where just as far as your eye can see is wilderness, and it's magical. I mean, it's very hard to describe, you know. So, but nevertheless, you know, beautiful moments like this is what you get from that. So like I said, we had this cheetah the one morning, and we managed to follow him around. And we actually had, I think the following image this is one of Mike's of that, of the nomadic males. That's one of the same males from this image. But I just want to jump out here quickly. Here we go. If I go to this image, here's that same cheetah who was walking in amongst these herds. And really, like I say, we managed to get in front of him, get some really cool images. He actually ended up coming, in being able to read and understand animal behavior, there was a big tree far ahead of him. And with this in mind, we suspected that he might head over to that tree and go and scent mark. So we decided to position ourselves ahead of that tree and await his approach. I mean, we moved about 100 meters ahead of him, and we went and stopped at that tree. And true as Bob, he ended up coming straight towards us, created some beautiful images just like this, and ended up coming to scent mark literally right on top of us. So really had some special moments with that, enjoyed that moment, and it was very, very good to see. Like I say, just wanted to go back, admire this beautiful image from Mike once again of those nomadic males. Beautiful early morning light. We really, really got to get some beautiful stuff while we were out there. So yeah, so as you can see already, just going through those images, there's still a few more to come. But I mean, we had it. We had lions, we had cheetahs, we had leopards. Incredible while we were out there. And that's something that you really can expect when out in the Northern Serengeti. And we were very fortunate with everything we had. Quite a few more that did come over and above that. So let's jump straight into those ones. Now this, what a morning. What a morning. And I'm going to run you through Mike's beautiful photos here that he managed to capture. You can see here this whole sequence of this lioness going after this wildebeest. Absolutely incredible. Well shot, Mike, if you are listening to this. But what I wanted to share with you, the story of this. One morning we made our way up to, so the Masai Mara and the Serengeti border each other. No fences, obviously free-flowing land between the two countries of Tanzania and Kenya. And the one morning, I mean, it was actually an incredible day. We actually had a huge crossing earlier on this morning, which I'll get to some of the footage and the photos of that shortly. But nevertheless, once we had done that, we went up to the border and we came across this pride of lions. And this pride of lions were sitting nice and cozy in some thick bushes that we call crotons, just kind of sitting down. And what we started to notice, and Mike actually called this out, is we noticed that this, you can, jumping back to this image, you can see all the wildebeest in the background. We noticed that there was a huge number of wildebeest moving around these lions, very unaware of the lions. So what we decided is, you know what, we've got to be patient here. And we realized that if any of these wildebeest get close enough to these lions, because we had a look at their behavior was very fixated on the wildebeest around them, keeping their eye out, looking for any ones that may be injured, any young ones that may be lost, whatever it may be. They were very aware of what was going on with them. And we thought, if any of these wildebeest get too close to these lions, they will hunt. So we decided to play the waiting game here. And very interesting, because it was a long waiting game, and we really tested our patience. And off my head, I think we ended up sitting for close to 2 hours, just observing their behavior, waiting for these wildebeest to come close by. And at one point, there was a young baby that had actually caught one of the lioness's attention. And this lioness got up, but this baby ended up moving off and didn't come close enough for them. And while this lioness was sort of up to attention, she noticed a couple of bulls that were quite close by, but very close to a drainage line. And this female ended up getting up and sort of made away. If I jump back to this image, you can see over here, and I'm going to share a video with you guys that you can look at round about now. So check this out. And basically from here, what you can see is this lioness popped out of this drainage line and went straight after this wildebeest, and eventually ended up catching the wildebeest. And like I said, what an incredible, rewarding thing to observe in nature. Of course, it can, for some people, it may look quite harsh, whatever it may be, but this is the beauty of nature. This is what we as photographers enjoy and appreciate so much about nature. And to have sat there and waited for this to all unfold was absolutely incredible. So once again, just running through Mike's images over here, it was simply incredible. Beautiful image. Look at this. Wow. So in terms of lions, that was probably our highlight sighting in the Serengeti when it came to the lions, and it was simply magical. So moving on from here, once again, another stunning image from Mike here. Really beautiful. What we had this morning with this young male, he actually got separated from 2 other very young males, and the whole morning we had him busy roaring, calling for those males. And as you can see here, jumping back to the images, you can see him just on a mission, stunning, in and amongst a huge herd of wildebeest, and just very, very special. Once again, amazing to listen to the sounds, the roaring. It was simply magical. And this was all happening very, very close to our vehicle. So what's amazing about the Serengeti system, a lot of the animals are very used to vehicles, whatever it may be. To kind of observe all of this while these animals don't really take notice of you is very special. We managed to capture some really beautiful images this one morning here. And look at this magical cat here. Beautiful cat once again. Another leopard. One of the mornings we had a mating pair of leopards, which was quite interesting. We didn't really get to see them properly, which was unfortunate. And this actually happened at the rock area. So I'm going to probably touch up. I can't remember if I added one of these images to that folder. But for now, this was up at one of those rocky areas. And you can really begin to see the potential of getting a leopard out on a rock. As beautiful as this moment is, if this leopard was looking towards us, I probably would have fallen off my chair taking this image. So nevertheless, it is still beautiful. Such an incredible photo of this animal in its environment, and something that we really, really enjoyed photographing. And that is it. So that's just a couple of our highlights from the cats, the predators, those types. This is the type of stuff that you can expect on this safari. The Serengeti is absolutely teeming with wildlife, and the beauty about this is with especially during the time that we host this tour, which is this August type of time, you can expect a lot of predator action. And the reason being, the migration herds are around, the hyenas are active, the lions are active, leopards, cheetahs, all of them are active. And that's the beauty of it. You can expect a lot of predator action while you are out there. So that's that being said. Now, let's jump into one of the other highlights that you can expect while out on the safari. And that is these beautiful boulder and rock formations that you can kind of expect while out there. There's an area that has a really large amount of these rocks and these sort of formations. And like I say, the possibility of getting cats up there is something that personally excites me a lot. And I think for a lot of you photographers out there, you get a very different portfolio of images when you get to capture animals out on these rocks. And with that being said, let's jump through some of these highlights and I'll share some of them with you. So the one afternoon, I mean, look at the simplicity of this image. I absolutely love this. The one afternoon we managed to find a big troop of baboons out there, made for some stunning moments. We were waiting for those moments where we could isolate a few. And for example, one like this where it was just absolutely magic. Moving on, another very beautiful image. Once again, this beautiful male stopped, posed. There were some youngsters busy fighting off in the distance. This guy stopped, posed, enjoyed this moment, and took it all in. So we managed to capture this as well, which was wonderful. Another beautiful shot here. If I zoom in here for you, this lion over here. Again, beautiful contrast, stunning image. We were very fortunate. While we were out there, we managed to get quite a few lions up on the rock. And I mean, even just something as simple as this, the lion's not even looking at us, creates a very, very different type of image, right? Something different, something artistic, and adds a very nice touch to your portfolio. So we were fortunate. We had very good lions while we were up there. We had a single lioness at one point. We had a young male with a young lioness at one point, which is this image over here with these guys on this image. And over and above that, we also had the 2 mating leopards, which was incredible, absolutely incredible. So just running through this, I mean, look here, also klipspringer, also possibly klipspringer is Afrikaans word used to describe these animals. So I think an English translation would be a rock jumper. Beautiful little antelope. We managed to get some stunning images of them while we were up there. I mean, have a look at this. One night we had sunset coming down, beautiful silhouette, absolutely magical, absolutely magical. Running over here, here's one of the young male with the young lioness in the background over there. You can see her. So once again, just creates a very dynamic portfolio. Beautiful image shot here by Mike. Once again, this was a lioness. We believe this lioness was pregnant. If not pregnant, she was definitely had cubs in and around these rocks here. She was isolated. She was out there on her own. So it would be interesting. We were trying our best to pick up on her often to hopefully get those cubs, but we weren't able to get that. Sorry about that. Let me just jump back to that image. There we go. So yeah, but nevertheless, managed to get some beautiful images, just like Mike managed to capture over here. And once again, that is now the touch-up on the rocks. So as you can see, that just the images that I'm busy showing you here, you can see how dynamic it is, how different it is, and really, really just beautiful. We had such an incredible time. Now, the last thing I want to jump onto here and get to is the Great Migration. And it starts off with this stunning image over here from Mike. And this crossing, I actually have a beautiful video to share with you guys as well. This crossing in particular was one of the best crossings I've ever seen in my life. And that simply came down to the fact that, firstly, it went on for an hour. And as you have a look here through this video, you can just see the intensity of this, where we had these animals coming off in the background here, flooding in from the background. This embankment, there was probably a row of them that spread for about 100 meters. And there was just thousands and thousands of these animals making this treacherous leap and jump from this embankment. And as you can see, I often wonder to myself how not more of them die and not more of them break their legs. But nevertheless, this truly is a spectacle to witness, and it was incredible. So Mike and I really were fortunate with this crossing. Not only this crossing, we ended up having about 4 crossings. And if I run through some of our images here, in fact, let me rather say this first. What the beauty about this type of situation where you have a lot of crossings, and the first time, in fact, this was Mike, when Mike and I had booked this trip for him earlier on in the year. He really was encouraged. He wanted to see the migration. That was the one thing he really wanted to see. And what you can expect in the Serengeti during this time is these herds making their way further north up towards the Masai Mara, just based on their general migration patterns. And during this time of the year, August, around this time, is a great time to put your money on seeing the migration, because these herds were just, like I say, hundreds and thousands and thousands and thousands of them were up there. And I mean, we ended up seeing, I think it was 5 crossings while we were out there. All 5 of those crossings had gone on for close to, if not more than, an hour. And I actually said it to Mike the moment we were driving up to our first crossing, that excitement, that adrenaline going, your heart racing, all of these animals, the sounds. It was amazing. I said to him, you know what, Mike? You have got plenty of time. There's thousands of animals here to photograph. Relax, take it in, enjoy the moment, and just capture it, snap away. And what was beautiful about that is we got to get a little bit specific about the images we wanted to take. So for example, here's one image that I wanted to point out for you guys. Have a look at ended up slowing my shutter speed down here on this image completely. And we got these zebras standing still in between a big herd of wildebeest crossing the river, and managed to capture that, you know. Once again, have a look at this. Have a look at the numbers, the intensity of these crossings that we ended up having. All in all, it was just absolutely amazing. Once again, something different, where you manage to, when you get to capture so much, when you have very fortunate to have so many crossings, so many animals moving around, this is what it's all about. You can slow it down, you can change it up, you can try new things. And really, we did manage to capture some beautiful stuff. And if even having a look at the rest of some of this footage, you can see we were just very fortunate with crossings, and the magnitude of animals that crossed while we were photographing all of these. It was simply incredible. And I can guarantee you that Mike managed to get what he was in for. So really, these are the 3 main things that we focus when we're on the safari. And as you can see, it was the first time that we hosted this specific safari. And as you can see, it was extremely successful. We were very fortunate with everything that we managed to view. And I have no doubt that this safari will have promising sightings and opportunities once again in the future. Just based on the time of the year, based on the movement of the migration, based on the positioning of the camp that we stay in. It really just made for an incredible time, and we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. So there you have it. That's some of the updates, some of the highlights that we absolutely loved while we were out there this year. And what Mike ended up doing on the safari, and this is something for those of you who may be interested in things like the Great Migration, whatever it may be, seeing the Masai Mara, the Serengeti, what Mike ended up doing is he actually joined this trip up 1 week with a following week in the Masai Mara at our Wildeye camp. And that worked beautifully for him, because what this allowed Mike to focus on was get the migration out of the way, get those crossings out of the way. Then once he got to the Masai Mara, the pressure was off. And in fact, he just thoroughly enjoyed himself all around. And while we were in the Masai Mara, once again, managed to focus on different things. We had crossings while we were out there as well. So, you know, it really is, this combination of safari was one that I personally loved hosting. And I look forward to hosting it in the future once again. And I hope this has possibly sparked some interest for some of you. And those of you who may have any questions about this safari, you're welcome to get in touch with me. Obviously, being freshly off of this, you're welcome to email me. Andrew Beck, one of our directors, will be hosting this trip next year. First time that he's heading up to the Serengeti as well. So hopefully it's beginner's luck that we can bring for those of you who join us out there. But if you are interested, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we'd absolutely love to share this experience with you. We'd love for you to come and experience this for yourself. And as Wildeye like to say, we'd love to change the way you see the world. So I hope you've enjoyed that, people, and thank you so much for your time. Wherever you may be in the world, have a wonderful day, And I look forward to sharing more of these with you in the future. Until then, keep well and bye-bye.